everyone, welcome back to the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. This is episode 46, and as always, I am Jack. No Calvin tonight, unfortunately. Calvin's got to take a wee break, but I'm joined by Charlie, as always. How are you, Charlie, mate?
I'm good, mate. Derby fever starting to kick in a wee bit, so I'm getting excited now. How are you?
Pretty much the same, and also a very good result for Hibs women at the weekend. My pal Alexa Coyle got back on the score sheet again, so you'll see something to do with that later on in the podcast. And keep my cards close to my chest, but I've got something pretty special behind me that will come up later on in the podcast. But Olivia result aside, I'm just looking forward to the derby and really pleased for the girls as well. Great Scottish Cup result. So yeah, I'm a happy man. But we just jumped right into it, and unfortunately, we've got to address the elephant in the room, and I'm sure the Almond View lads will be very happy. They've been waiting for it, so we don't want to disappoint our public. We'll get right into the Livingston review. Unfortunately, a 3-2 loss at Easter Road. A tale of two halves, really. But before we talk about those two halves, we'll sort of just begin with our general thoughts heading into the game. Obviously, we discussed a bit about it last week, but I'll hear from you first, Charlie. What are your general thoughts coming into the Livingston game?
I thought it was one we were going to win. To be honest, I thought it was probably one we should have won comfortably. But I don't really know other than that how I felt, mate. I think just thought we were going to win, to be honest.
I'm pretty much the same. I thought, it was going to be a tough game. The games against Livingston always are. They're a tough team to break down. They've got some big guys in their team, and they're always a team you should never underestimate. But yeah, I thought we were going to win. So I was pretty confident, to be honest. So we'll move on and talk about the starting 11. So team comes out. What did you think?
Thought it was interesting. He went two up top. Didn't think that's the way he likes to play, but I wonder if he was just trying something new there. Obviously, good to see Deutsch get the start. Don't think he played very well, though. We'll probably come into the individual player who we thought played well and all that later on, but I don't think having two up top when it's Deutsch and Nisbet is going to work with Maloney with the way he wants to play football. I was surprised to see Rocky benched, but obviously he came on very early on to the game. Apart from that, mate, it was pretty expected, to be honest. I could see his reasoning for benching a few players, especially with the game coming up against the scum from the other half of the city. But I think it was a rested team. I was still surprised to see players like Josh Campbell continue to keep his place in the team when he's not really done much to warrant that start. But apart from that, mate, I think it was probably the team that we're all given resources available was probably the strongest one he could have pulled, with the nature of wanting to rest a few players.
Yeah, 100%. I was pretty much the same as you, mate, to be honest. I looked at the start 11. I was very disappointed to see Campbell continue to start, to be honest, because we have got other options in midfield, and I just don't think Campbell's the answer. And I know a lot of people say, he's a young player, whatever. There is a lot there that you can tell that the lad maybe just isn't quite at our level yet. I think a spell out on loan somewhere would do him the world of good. Maybe a championship club, not Kilmarnock, because they've already robbed enough of our players, but somewhere sort of mid-table in the championship, I'll do him the world of good. I just think he was all right against Rangers in that semi-final. He was a cheap option to get the deal for Jack Ross at the time. And I've not seen enough of him. I think you'll go into it later, obviously, but I think he was at fault for Livingston's winner, and he was at fault for the first goal at Celtic Park as well. So Josh Campbell wasn't the answer. But apart from that, pretty standard. I knew certain players were going to get rested because of you've got the derby coming up. So I wasn't very surprised. So we'll just go and break down the game a bit more. So obviously, first half we come out, very good start, good amount of intensity from Hibs. And obviously we take the lead 1-0. And Dimitri Mitchell, he used to be a jambo, but he's all right now. I think excellent, very well taken goal. Very, very well taken goal. After a good move. So Charlie, we're 1-0 up. What are your thoughts at that point? Seeing Mitchell score on his first start as well.
I think he took his goal really well, and it's the intensity that I want to see from a wing back. Both wing backs played really well first half, I thought. But no, I think when the ball bounces in the box, he flicks it forward and runs onto it, and I think that's what I want to see more of. People being, unafraid to take a risk. and it paid off. And good start. I thought first was about 7 minutes or something after that we scored. 7 minutes after the game started. So I think it's a very, very good start. And that was really it. You can't really ask for much more to be 1-0 up after such an early period in the game.
Yeah, 100%. And I thought, Dimitri Mitchell was my player of the match, actually. I think Cadden was outstanding, but Dimitri Mitchell was actually my player of the match, along with Cadden, sort of thing, because he was outstanding. He was absolutely outstanding. The way he was running at players and trying to knock the ball past, he wasn't afraid to get into the physical, and that's a defender coming out of them, obviously. He wasn't afraid to get into those physical battles, and Livy have, like I said, some big boys in their team, so that's what we need. We need that against those sorts of teams. So I thought Mitchell was outstanding, and he took the goal excellently. Excellent strike, and it was great to see him get on the score sheet. But unfortunately, calamity struck not long after that. Obviously, what I'd like to discuss before that was the weird thing that went on with Livy's penalty. Obviously, Porteous looking a bit rusty after coming back, which is natural, to be honest, because you look at that, Porteous has not played since the Aberdeen game, so obviously he won't be as sharp as he maybe would be if he hadn't been suspended. You see that Porteous makes a mistake, that leads to Macey having to sort of react quite quickly, comes out. I think there was nothing in it at all. Referee points to the spot. Macey goes up very correctly. So I'd say Macey goes to the assistant referee have a word, and then there's no penalty. So what were your sort of thoughts on that? Obviously, we were sitting there. We had quite a good view of it from our seats, and it was a weird sort of moment in the game. That
it's never a penalty. It's never a penalty. I think the boy Nuble's looking for it, and quite rightly so goes down. I think that's the way of the game nowadays, that strikers are actually going to look for these sort of penalty when they come up against the keeper. And it was a weird one because the linesman never flagged. So I was like, oh, it's not a penalty. And then it's also strange that the referee goes against his own decision. I think that never really happens. But also, I think it was also interesting that Nuble doesn't get booked, because if it's not a penalty, it's surely a dive, and if it's a dive, it's a booking. So it was an interesting decision all around, but I think he probably should have been booked for it. But like you say, mate, it should never have come to that. I don't think he was going anywhere, so I don't know why Macey came out. But nah, it would have been a very, very harsh penalty if it had been given.
Yeah, definitely. But what I've got to say is, because we're not going to be very complimentary about him for the rest of the podcast, unfortunately, but I think it was right of Macey to go there and really make his point to the assistant. I think fair play to him for doing that, because you're risking yourself getting booked when you do that as well for talking back. So I think fair play to Macey for really making the point, because that's what led to the referee going over and discussing it. I think there would have been a lot of players that would have just went, right, okay, done, that's it. But not Macey. Macey made his point, so fair play to him. And that's the last positive thing you're going to hear about Matt Macey in this podcast. But we'll move on, and he was hero turned villain. Macey, Livy's equaliser. I mean, Charlie, what happened, mate? What happened? Livy's equaliser. It was shocking, absolutely shocking.
The boy's 2 meters tall, and the ball was probably 3 meters in the air, and he's fallen over Paul McGinn, who's 5'10". Like, you know what I mean? If you can't command your box for a corner, then you're no welcome at my club. Pretty much. Injures Paul McGinn in the process. Took a dull one himself. I wish it was him that went off rather than McGinn. But there's just no communication at the back, and it's been the story of our season, really. And that doesn't exclusively fall at Macey's hat at Macey. There's no communication from certain individuals in that defence. And we've been found out again. It's another set piece that we've conceded from. I'm actually getting sick and tired of Matt Macey in that net, and that really exemplifies why. He does take command of his box, doesn't communicate to his defence. The defence obviously don't trust him, and Obalai will never score an easier goal in his life. He just has to wait for the ball, bang 1-1. So I think frustrating goal to concede, especially being that in control of the game. Up until then, we were very much in control of the game. And then, cheap equaliser to concede and Livy are right back in it.
Yeah, and I think that goal really, if you go back to it, that's what caused the problems. Really, if they hadn't scored that, it would have been 2-0 at half time, and we would have been talking about maybe even after that second half, we would have been talking about a draw if we're being realistic. We wouldn't have been talking about a loss, and you would have sat there like, oh well, we took a point off of a very difficult to play Livingston team. We've just got to move on. So yeah, I think that's where that's where the turning point came for Livy in that game, because we were all over them before that. We were playing with a good amount of intensity. We'd come out the sort of way we played against Aberdeen to me, and I thought, oh, brilliant. And then that happens. I think, yeah, Macey, how a 6'7" goalkeeper can't collect crosses and command his box it dumbfounds me, to be brutally honest. I mean, and especially in Scottish football, where a team like Livingston are just going to play the hoof all the time. And they've got big, again, talking about it so many times in the podcast, they've got big lads. You should be aware to that. And Macey, I've got to say for him, he's a good shot stopper, but his distribution's not good enough at times. And he needs to learn to collect across, and he needs to learn to command his box. And you can tell, yeah, that back line does not trust him at all. And then you look at it, and I know they're opening a can of worms here, but this is why Dabrowski deserves a shot. I thought with a new manager coming in, everybody gets a clean slate. Dabrowski deserves a shot. The lad, for what I seen him in that when he came on in the Arsenal friendly, he was brilliant. So he deserves a chance. So, then it's not the first time a Livy keeper has had a bit of a fluky wonder goal scored against him at Easter Road, if we cast our minds back to Mark Oxley's heroics against Livingston. But Cadden goes blazing up the wing. And I want to call this one, and I'm sure Rachel will find this funny if she's watching. I'll call this one a Rachel Boyle special, because she's done a few of those herself in the past against Motherwell and Hearts. But it really was a Rachel Boyle special. The cross comes in. Max Strycek absolutely just misjudges it. I think the wind helped a lot as well. And it ends up in the back of the net, 2-1. So, Charlie, what were your thoughts on that? I think fair play to Cadden. I don't think he meant it, but great to see him score nonetheless.
Worth a try, really. It was a cross, it was a shot. Nice to see it hit the net, but I mean, there's not really much in it. We've seen goals like that in the women's team this year. They just fluke goals. I think obviously it was good to be back 2-1 up. I think based on the nature of the half, we probably deserved to go in 2-1 up. I think we probably were the bit. We probably just edged it in the first half. I think we were the better team. But I think I would have taken any goal to go in 2-1 up me. I would have, even if it was an own goal or what have you, but it was nice to see Cadden get a goal, because that's his second goal in quick succession. So good to see him win it. Get a goal, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree, mate. And I think, yeah, like I said, he's been to the Rachel Boyle school of crossing there. They usually end up in the back of the net. But brilliant. I think absolutely brilliant for Cadden. And I like Tam McManus on the commentary as well. He's like, what do you mean? He meant it. He meant it. But it was brilliant. And yeah, but I've got to say, Strycek needs to be doing better with that as well. I mean, he should have judged that. I mean, we've had a go at Macey, but I'm sure Livingston fans, all 20 of them, would agree that Strycek could have done better there, I've got to say. But fair play to Cadden. Yeah, on balance, we deserve to be the team in front going into half time. So obviously going to the second half, and we've been talking about a tale of two halves. So the first half, I'd say we deserved to be in front. We made a few mistakes. Livy got that goal, but apart from that, it had been all about us, and we'd been playing quite well and deserved to go in. Second half, the momentum swings, and an unmitigated disaster is what I'd call the second half, to be honest. So we'll take a look at Livy's equaliser first. What were your thoughts on that, Charlie?
It's another set piece, mate. It's another set piece. It's another goal. And again, I don't know what Matt Macey does to command his defence, from crosses, from set pieces, from even kickouts. His distribution's shocking. I just don't get it, and it just doesn't fill me with confidence at all that we have the right keeper in the net. Just shocking defending, and it's more to it than Macey. It's more to it than Macey. The defence shocking, no marking properly. Jack Fitzwater again, easiest goal he'll ever score in his life, and it really starts the implosion. And you could see it coming. No, I could definitely see it coming. As soon as the ball goes in, you're thinking this is going in the net, and I did.
No, I think it was just so cheap to give away. And two very silly goals in the second half. I've got to say, it was just my heart sank the minute I thought I seen that. And I thought, yeah, Livingston are going to score here. Where I was actually saying to you, we were sitting saying to you, I think Livy are going to get something here. And what happened? They score, and you could tell it was coming. We've seen, Santa Coloma's goal when we went out there. Rijeka when they went 1-0 up at Easter Road. Motherwell's 2 in the 3-2 game at the start of the season. It's like it's basically like, oh wait, it's the same book with a different cover. So every time it's the same, and we need to get it fixed. And I think that's it. No manager's going to change that because of certain players, unfortunately, are just stuck in the mindset, and that's it. And yeah, it just for me was not. It was depressing, to be honest, watching that happen again. And then, of course, Livingston go on and get what turned out to be the killer blow. All comes from Campbell losing the ball cheaply in midfield again, very similar to what happened at Celtic Park. So, Charlie, at that point, were you even surprised, or was it like you knew this was coming?
First of all, I want to say, I wonder how many cereal packets Josh Campbell needed to collect to become a football player, because he is dreadful. Rubbish, mate. Never looks to take the ball forward, and try to do too many things on the ball and just gives it away. And Alan Forrest, again, it's not like Port just shows him onto his stronger foot as well. That's a problem. The whole goal's avoidable, and I wasn't surprised at all. I was talking to my dad just before it happened, and I said, Livy are going to score again soon. You could just tell the momentum had switched, and we had nothing about us to deal with that. And just it was the killer blow, as you say, mate. And that was it. That was the game practically over, and there's still half an hour to play, pretty much.
Yeah, because you know what would happen next. I think we had a few chances and we just didn't do well enough. I think the one that really annoyed me, Cadden every time busts a gut going up the wing, puts the ball in. Nisbet, the one that really annoyed me about that, and I'm not going to overly slate Nisbet because I think he actually had quite a good game up until that. But Cadden crosses it and Nisbet doesn't even make an effort to go for it, and then Nisbet's complaining to Cadden, the ball's not good enough. No, that's not how it works. You're meant to go for it. No, everyone comes to you. You're no Ronaldo. You're no the special one. It's not going to come right to you. Everyone's going to be, you've got to make an effort. Cadden's made the effort to get up there to get you the ball in. And that's it. And I think, and then you had the usual, and I knew this was coming, JDH on the edge of the box. And this was the one that really annoyed me. I think it was about 5 minutes to go. JDH on the edge of the box, it's like, shoot. Now, again, and I know a lot of people won't like this, but we're called the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast for a reason. Stevie Mallon, he takes a pop at that, and it could be 3-3 if we had Stevie Mallon in the team. JDH, what did he do? Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Passes it back, and every time JDH gets the ball on the edge of the box, it's back we go.
I think
I don't like that.
I think on that though, I think going to your Nisbet point, I think Nisbet played his best game in months on Saturday, and no surprise he had a strike partner beside him.
Exactly, he shoots her too.
Doidge was hopeless. For that, Doidge is hopeless again.
I think the injury's not done.
He's at least a yard off the pace. And I think as well, you're right about the centre midfielders not taking a shot. And I've been banging on about it for months. We just need a midfielder who's going to shoot. McGuinness done that, but McGuinness is made of glass, comes back and is injured again. So I don't think we'll see him play for Hibs again this season. But I think it's a frustrating one because I think we're playing some nice football. We're retaining the ball, but playing this sideways passing, backwards passing is good if you open them up and you score for it, or you have a shot on target. But this, keep the ball, play it across the back three, back five, go to the halfway line, then turn back. It just doesn't work in Scottish football. Like it's good to watch when Maloney's obviously seen it for years at Belgium, and it works internationally because there's a lot to play for. But you're playing for 3 points in the Scottish Premiership, where we're already 12 points behind Hearts. That's not good enough. And we need to be a more brutal team. We need to be an uglier team to watch. We need to be winning these kind of games against Livingston at home, where last season our home form was a bit shaky as well. You know, we need to be beating. We need to be beating the teams around us, and then when we play teams above us, we need to be aiming for a result as well. But it's just, I think it was very frustrating when we're chasing the game. Obviously, we're evidently chasing the game, and we've got a midfielder like in Doyle Hayes who doesn't shoot. Like, what do you offer to that team? Nothing. Nothing.
No, it's not good enough for me. And I think you can tell what Moloney's trying to do, like you're saying, but he's not got the players to do it. So I think he needs to tweak how he plays to the players we've got right now, and that's it. But yeah, overall, I think the Levy game's just got to go down, as it shows how much really needs to be changed with us. We need to be a sort of team that is ugly. We need to be a team that's tough, like Livingston. I mean, look at what Livingston do. The Old Firm always find the Armandale a difficult place to go. Most teams in the league find the Armandale a difficult place to go, because Levy at home, they set up, they're hard to break down, they play ugly, and that's what we need. So I think, yeah, unfortunately for me, we're just missing that special something as well in attack.
Last thing I want to say on the game, Jack, is how did we make Omeonga look the best player in that park? Omeonga was utter rubbish for Hibs. Utter rubbish. And he only got a free pass because he played Sunshine and Leaf on the piano. And now he's rocked up to Easter Road and made us look like a third division team.
I tell you what, he bossed the middle of the park.
And what does that say about us, though, that we're letting a Livingston player make us look rubbish? You know what I mean? Livingston are hopeless. The relegation fodder every year. They've got.
I'd like to correct you. It's Ferranti Thistle, actually. It's
I thought it was Meadowbank Thistle myself, but even still, like, they've got a championship level team, and they're making us look rubbish. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
get it sorted, man.
That's the problem, is we've got too many. I think, going back onto the Campbell point, before we move on, before the two of us end up having brain aneurysms here, is the problem with Livingston is their midfield is they're all workman-like players that are not afraid to get battered in and do what needed. None of them are particularly skillful or have got ability.
But they've got Jason Holt in the midfield, mate. That says it all.
But they're hard, to use a technical term, they're hard bastards, basically. Obviously, we've got Josh Campbell, who thinks he's at the JD Performance School doing about 1 million step overs, then going, okay, like, mate, I'm going to just tell you now, you do not want to be the Scottish Florian Canberry, where you do about 1 million step overs and just get sat on your ass. You don't want to do that. You don't want to go down that route, pal, because that route leads to Sheffield Wednesday via Grasshopper Zurich. So don't go there.
Via the Huns as well, mate. Let's not forget.
But I think, it just, for me, proves the issues that we have in the team. But so that was it. Livingston, I think if it was on a school report card, it would definitely go down as a could do better. But at least we scored two. Looking at it from the positive point of view, I think Mitchell.
On a positive sign, we had a shot on target. So the folk complaining about not having a shot on target can shut up until the Hearts game.
So. But for me, just finishing up, positive. Mitchell, great. I thought Mitchell was great. I thought, and I took a lot of stick for this on Twitter, but I stand by it. I thought Stevenson, not afraid to drive forward, not afraid to get battered in there.
They're my only two positives, and well, Nisbet to an extent,
and then Cad and Stevenson and Mitchell. I think you can say Stevenson's old, he's finished, he's whatever. He was driving forward. He was not afraid to get physical when he needed to get physical, which is what you need against a team like Livingston. So yeah, they were it for me. And like I said, Mitchell, I think for me was my man of the match. So we'll now move on to it's the Edinburgh Derby. I mean, I don't think it needs any introduction, the fixture, but obviously it's coming at a very concerning time for us. But yeah, the Edinburgh Derby, always good to get an Edinburgh Derby. Obviously, this is the first Edinburgh Derby at Easter Road in front of spectators since 2020, so it's been 2 years. It's been 2 long years out in Edinburgh Derby, so it'll be good to be back at Easter Road. The atmosphere is always fantastic for the derbies. So Charlie, What are your thoughts heading into this derby?
I'm fearing the worst, to be honest. I really am. But that plays into our favour, I think. I really do, because I think Hearts will be like, oh, Hibs are in a ropey bit of form. They'll maybe come in a bit confident. And, you know, how many times have we seen it when they've been rubbish and we've been overconfident and they've come away with a spoil. So I'm hoping that plays into our hands tomorrow night. As what it is, mate. Like, I think it's obviously a derby, and you know, I hate this phrase, but form goes out the window. And it's true though, like it really is. I think it's a game that you've got to leave everything on the table and you hope for the best. But you know, like I say, mate, every derby I'm buzzing for it. And I'm really buzzing for this one. I love derbies at Easter Road. And I'm raring to go already, mate. Bring it on.
Yeah, that's it. Bring it on. You know, being starved of it at Easter Road, and for 2 years, it's been a fixture I've missed, to be honest. Even though I always end up like crapping a brick before it, but yeah, it's. I agree with that thing about the form book goes out the window. It absolutely does. I mean, how many times have we played Hearts at their lowest and they've humiliated us, and vice versa? You know, there's been times when we've been in the division below them and we've beaten them. And look at the 3-1, for example. I look at the Scottish Cup replay. There's been the 3-1 that they beat us, the last one at Easter Road, where they were on their one-way. They were on their one-way ticket to the champion, one-way trip to the championship, and utterly humiliated us. And Melker Hallberg celebrated scoring a consolation in the 93rd minute, which I still have nightmares about that, to be honest. But yeah, I think it always says about the Edinburgh Derby, they always could go either way. You just never know. You just never know, because us and Hearts are the sort of teams that when we're at our lowest is when we usually win the derbies. So I think it is difficult with a high flying. You know, Hearts are absolutely flying right now, and as much as I don't like admitting it, they're playing some good football. Robbie Nielsen's really got something special going on at Tynecastle, and I really do not like saying that, but he does. He really has something special going on at Tynecastle with them. But they do have frailties. They do have frailties in there. I've noticed that. They've got a few players missing, so that plays into hands. But I'm never confident for a derby. I always say that. I'm never, ever confident for derbies, because you don't know how that game's going to go. It's as simple as that. It's never a game I try and predict. I've been more confident for cup finals than I have been for derbies, to be brutally honest. And that's that. So we'll just sort of go into talking about the lineup now. And what is your starting 11 for the derby, and what changes do you think Maloney will make?
I think it's a hard one, because if I was in charge, I'd drop Macey. But after his comments after the weekend, Macey will start. I think he'll go the same sort of formation that he's been playing, the 3-4-2-1. So I think he'll go. It really all depends if Hanlon's fit as well, I guess. I think if Hanlon's fit, he'll walk right back in that team. I think he'll if for example, if everyone's ready to go, we'll go away. I think he'll go Porteous, Hanlon, and Rocky as your back three. I think wing backs, I'll be Cadden for sure. And I think Stevenson, because he's better defend, but Doig's better. Oh no, he'll play Doig higher up probably. You can tell I've not really thought much about the starting 11. Midfield 2. I think it's hard, because he does like, for whatever reason, he does like Campbell. So I think he'll start Campbell. I think he'll probably go Campbell and Newell. And then obviously the wing backs of Stevenson and Cadden. I would like to see him go Mitchell left forward, and then Mueller right forward, and then Nisbet up top. Just because we've got that pace. And Mitchell, big game for Mitchell, playing against his old team. You know, I think I'd love to see him get a goal. I really would.
Oh, I would. Especially right in front of the south stand as well.
Right in front of them, I'd love to see him score. But that's my starting 11, mate. I think it's probably not going to be. It's probably not going to please everyone, the lineup he puts out tomorrow. I'm already resigned to the fact of that. It is interesting though. We're on deadline day in the transfer window. At time of recording, we've not brought anyone in other than Runar Hauga, who's going to be a development player. So that really doesn't strike me with a lot of confidence when we're missing players like Boyle's replacement and there's obviously talks of whoever's going to replace him. And I'm not going to say them just in case it doesn't happen. But I think it's an interesting one, mate. It's a derby. You're hoping that players play that get it. And that's got to come from Hanlon, from Stevenson, from even Porteous, from McGregor, from players that are Hibs fans in the team. It's got to come for them what this means.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, my starting 11, I don't really know. I think for me, I'd like to see I'd love to see Mitchell start and score, absolutely. And yeah, right in front of the South Stand, giving it when he scores. I'd love that. I would actually, because I'll be doing that if we score. So I'd like to see Mitchell do that as well. But this is the one game I promise not to be on my best behaviour. But I think Nisbet, I'd like to see Nisbet start in a front two again. Because I think that worked well for him. Now I wouldn't. Doidge isn't in the two for me. I'd actually shift Mueller into striker, and I know a lot of people would disagree with me there, but I think it would be interesting to see how that works. But I think it's a fixture that Nisbet's got a lot to prove in after the semi-final. If you remember, if you can cash him back to that, I know we won't want to remember that, but it's a fixture Nisbet's got a lot to prove in. So I'd like to see in his comments to the media, obviously the club put out a wee thing out. I think it was brilliant what Nisbet was saying, and it seems like he really is ready to go for it. So I really hope that Nisbet comes on and can really do his derby heroics. I do think Campbell will start, and if I'm going to say this to Campbell, so this is my little message to Campbell is, look, son, this is the game where you can prove everybody wrong. You'll be loved at Easter Road if you can step up and put in a performance in this derby. If he can do that, he's absolved of his sins for me if he can put in a performance in the derby. I do think he'll start because Maloney seems to see something in him. Like we always say about this, that we don't see what happens on the training ground. So Maloney sees something in him, obviously, because he wouldn't start him for no reason, because we've got enough midfielders that he's got a bit of choice in there. So it will be quite interesting to see. I think I do see Stevenson and Doig starting, with Doig playing in a more advanced role, because I think Doig suits that role more, with Stevenson playing as your defensive. I'd love to see Rocky start, because we need his physicality for the derby, 100%. We'll need Rocky's physicality. And yeah, I can't see Macey being dropped. I'd love to see Dabrowski get a chance, because I'm going to say this now, if he can prove himself against Arsenal, he can prove himself in a derby. I've got to say that, because he proved his mettle in the Arsenal game, and I think he'd be more than capable of doing it in the derby as well. Obviously, Dabrowski's a player that relishes the big games, so I definitely see that. Because even for Macey, if anything else, it'll give a message to Macey that when you make mistakes, it's not going to be glossed over, and that there is competition for your place in the team. Because I don't think putting David Mitchell anywhere near the team's a good idea. We don't want the care home to get worried about him. So yeah, I think in the lineup, I agree with you. It's not going to please everybody. It's going to be like Marmite. Some folk will like it, some folk will not like it, and that's it. I think a lot of Maloney's lineups have been like that. But yeah, it certainly is going to be very, very interesting with the players we've got and the players we've not got and everything like that. I think it's up to debate it's up for debate what's going to get put in, but it'll be interesting either way. So we'll move on. And Charlie, what do we need to do to beat Hearts tomorrow night? What do we need to do to restore bragging rights?
It's a hard one, mate. It really is, because it's one of those games where we can't play this passing game tomorrow night and expect to win. But Maloney's not going to change the style for one game, so I think we just need to run at them, eh? Like, they're probably going to walk all over us in the midfield. And I hate to be honest about it, but they're going to bully us in midfield. Because they've got players like Peter Haring and Baningame and Halliday. They're all, for lack of a better phrase, they're all Hearts bastards. And I mean that in the sense of they're going to know what this means, and they're going to get up for it. And I can't see a game where Joe Newell or Jake Doyle Hayes or Josh Campbell gets himself up for an Edinburgh derby. So to be honest, mate, I think the first goal is important. I think if we can get that, sets us on our way, I would imagine, to hopefully the win. But if Hearts get the first goal, mate, I think it's better that we just shut up shop and go home.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think
like we were saying on Saturday, mate. We've like if Hearts go 1-0 up, like
it's going to be difficult to get back into it.
It's a hard game to watch, and I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think obviously we need to score more than them. I didn't want to go down the Michael Owen route on it, but I think it's going to be a hard game.
It definitely is. I think that's the main concern for me is the midfield is either the midfielders need to step it up or Maloney needs to change something in there. Because we need the midfield to be mean, because Hearts have got a midfield of physical, experienced players that you look at Haring and Haring is a perfect example of a player that's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, we're winning at Easter Road. So he knows what he needs to do. He knows what his role will be, and I am very scared that we will get bullied. We'll get bullied about the midfield, but at the same time, I think our backline's good enough to deal with the threat that Hearts pose. I think we've seen it at Swinecastle that Hearts, they could look a bit toothless in attack at times for me. And we dealt with them quite well. And that was back before we had the likes of Rocky. And I think Rocky's physicality will really play into our hands. I think he'll not be afraid to get battered in there. He'll want to prove himself. He did it at Parkhead. He got battered in there and wasn't afraid to get battered in there. And that's what we need against Hearts. I think for me, if Hearts go 1-0 up, it is going to be extremely difficult to get back into it. If we go 1-0 up, I think we could survive scares, but then we could maybe just grow ourselves into it a bit more and then get a second goal, and that would be it. So I think, I definitely agree with your comments that it's going to be who scores the first goal that it sort of dictates how the game goes for me, because Hearts, if they go 1-0 up, will just shut up shop or they'll just go for the jugular. We've seen it at the last time that when they went 1-0 up, that was it. We collapsed and they went and scored some more. I think it's not going to be like the semi-final where they went 1-0 up in the semi-final, then we equalised, and I don't think it'll be like that. I think we've got to score first. We've got to score first and send a message out to Hearts that we're not scared of them. So it will be very, very interesting to see how it goes. But for me, main things to beat Hearts for me are be physical. Don't be afraid. You need to get battered in there. We can't be crapping it for 50-50s. We can't be scared to run at them. Just run at them. Get in there, be physical, be mean, because that's what we need to do against Hearts. And then we need to take our chances. If you see a chance, go for it. Because you know what, with Craig Gordon and goal, we can't be affording to muck about. Craig Gordon is going to be the difference, I think, for them. Definitely. And it's concerning to me that, you look at the goalkeeping situation. Usually it's Hearts that have the Humpty goalkeeper in the fixture. In the past couple of seasons, that's been the case, but this season it isn't. It's the other way about. And I can't see Macey covering himself in much glory on tomorrow, unfortunately. I love to be proved wrong by players, but I just can't. I really have a nasty feeling Macey's got a big mistake in him tomorrow night, unfortunately. And Craig Gordon, I think, will just steal the show, as he usually does for them. But I'm a blindly optimistic Hibby, so I'm just hoping that all the players, Macey turns into prime Lev Yashin for the night, and we just sort of encapsulate the spirit of the famous five, and we go out there and just give Hearts the game of their life and win. And I think we've got it in us. If Maloney can just drill it into the lads, and Nisbet's confidence for that is actually quite refreshing. If Maloney can drill it into the lads, if Nisbet can have a good game, if our big sort of game players can turn up like Nisbet, if Mueller can have a good game, we're there. So for me, it's don't be afraid to be physical. Don't be afraid to run at them. Take your chances. Go out there, play for the jersey, play for the pride of the club, and you can't do any wrong. If we can play with passion, with confidence, and with a bit of physicality, we'll get there. It's as simple as that for me. So there you go. I'm available for hire for motivational speeches. It's £10 this week. Anyway, so before we move on to Hibs Women's triumph in the Cup, we're going to do some Derby memories. We always like doing these before the Edinburgh Derby. So we're going to do some Derby memories. And I think we'll start off, I know we did this last time, but there'll be a few more goals in there that maybe we want to talk about, or maybe some refreshers. So we're going to talk about our Derby goals now. I think we're going to do this a bit different. I'm going to do a bit of a Jack twist on it. We're going to do our top 3 favourite Derby goals, because then that makes it easier to try to remember 5. And also, it's 3 of the best. So Charlie, shoot, your top 3 Edinburgh Derby goals.
In no particular order. No, actually, in particular order. Number 3, Rob Jones is in the 1-0 game. Just because of what that game was, we absolutely battered them that night. And great to see captain scoring in a derby and that we go and win. So number 3, Rob Jones. Number 2, probably Grant Holtz in the 3-1 game. I think it was class. Just the celebration really is, and just the way like he flicked it towards the net went brilliant. My favourite one, this is a hard one. There's a few I could have put in there that I missed out, but I think my favourite one's probably one back in, I think it was actually my first derby at Easter Road. It was Derek Riordan about 2003 or 4, one of the two, cuts inside for about 25, 30 yards and just blasts it, and it goes like top bin. Craig Gordon has nothing to do with it. So there's my three cracking goals. 2 of them aren't top class goals, but just for what they mean to me sentimentally. So there we are. There's my top 3.
I'm going to go for my top 3, and I'm going to rank them for my sort of third favourite to my top 3. So starting off with third, I've got to say, I've seen like a right sentimental bastard, Sentiment FC, but Hanlon's equaliser at Tynecastle. You know, I think for Hibs fans my sort of age, that really is the derby goal. You know, Hibs through and through. Kent what it meant, the celebration after it, as you can see behind me, it just meant so much, because that was it. You know, 2-0 down at Tiny, it's happening again. You know, it was such an iconic goal. It's not the prettiest goal you're ever going to see, but it's so iconic, and that's it. And it's set up, obviously. That's, I think, the moment that we really, the Scottish Cup run began in earnest for me. So yeah, it's such a special goal. Hanlon's equaliser, and it cemented him into Hibs folklore, Paul Hanlon, didn't it? Charlie's sitting there cringing, right? He's hating this right now, but I thought I've got to do some Hanlon love the day just to wind you up more than anything else. But my captain, I'm talking about Louis Stevenson there. Anyway, that was just, it was iconic. I think second, I've got to say Farid Al Ghoui's winner, Easter Road.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
You know what I've got to say about that is, Aaron, it's 1-1, and I remember all my job mates, oh yeah, here we go, oh, you can't beat us, you're Humpty. And then ball gets lumped up the pitch, Al Ghouis gets on the end of it, and then I thought excellent move for us, and then it's just a brilliant.
That was the game just after they won the championship, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
that's what Hearts was going. It was meaningless. It wasn't meaningless, was it? And that shows you. I think that shows you how rattled they were by it, that they bottled it so badly. Because saying it was meaningless shows it, but I think excellent move for us. If we can replicate that tomorrow night, I'll be more than happy. Great ball up. Al Ghouis gets on the end of it, and boom, puts it away. And what I loved is how all the maroon and white balloons were on the pitch as well, and he manages to pop one when he's running through on goal. And the celebration, he has the shirt off with his and he kisses the camera. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. And you know, that was, again, it was one of the ones that sort of made me fall in love with the fixture as well. But an iconic derby moment for me. And then my top all-time favourite Edinburgh derby goal. Now this one for me is just it's Caldwell's winner. That is one of my favourites. I'll tell you why. Because again, it was the feeling, and this is the first derby I could sort of properly remember as a Bairn as well. Is it was just spectacular. The way we were toiling in that game, and then we managed to get it right at the death again, and the celebrations were just absolutely fantastic. You know, the away end the Roseburn stand goes into pandemonium, and yeah, but it was great to see a young player as well come up with the goods like that and win us the derby. So yeah, those are my top 3. A lot of sentiment there for me. I think if you're talking about the best goal technically, it's definitely Al Ghouis against them at Easter Road, 100%. But yeah, I think that Calder was always going to be my favourite, because it's the first derby I can properly remember as a Bairn, and it's the one that really sort of just it made you realise that it wasn't all pain with Hibs. There was some good moments in there, so I absolutely loved that goal. So we'll now move on, and I think we'll do another top 3. I like top 3s. It's my thing with numbers. I prefer 3 than 5. Because I'm a Hibs fan and 5's a number that I don't like hearing very often. But unless Kilmarnock are involved. But we'll do our top 3 sort of derby moments. So they don't have to be goals. They can be if you want. There's any goals didn't mention there. But top 3 derby moments, and I'll let you go first again, Charlie, since I'm nice like that.
I think number 3 is probably. That's a hard one, actually. I think it's not an on the field one. One of them's on the field, but 2 of them aren't. This one was when I think it was the Darrell Horgan derby at Tynecastle when we scored, and a coconut gets thrown on to the pitch for the Hibs end, and that really was a real highlight in that game. And I don't know what the coconut was in reference to or anything of the sort, but it was brilliant. I don't know. It's stayed with me for years. Number 2, I think it has to be the game in 2012 when we knocked them out after they beat us in the final. David Witherspoon scores the goal, and it was the first time we'd beat them in a long, long time. And I think that was it was just mental to see that I was in the east stand in the center towards the middle, and it was just amazing, mate. Really, really good to see that. When that hit the net, it just went mental. And number 1, it's the iconic photo of Craig Levein with the Natural Order banner in the famous 5. Just sums him up as who he is. He's a serial loser. Another derby at Easter Road where he bigged it up as, we're going to win it, and then obviously winning at Easter Road's it's few and far between when it comes with Hibs, or winning a derby in general. Doesn't matter where it is, but to have that just after he'd said, it's a Natural Order, we win every derby to that extent. Next derby, bang, 2-0, get up, you loser. So there's the 3 for me.
Yeah, my 3 are number 3. I've got to say is the Hearts fans running on the pitch for a disallowed goal in the replay. I remember that as it was yes, and then on they go, and then it's the realization of what they've done when you see the linesman out with the flag down and you go, away. Yeah, that was it. Just sums up their support base.
I think they celebrated 2 disallowed goals that game as well, and the second one was the best one.
It's just how they ran on, and then I guess they realised, and what was even better was they were getting booed and stuff chucked at them by Hearts fans when they were getting taken out. And I think that summed up that game, as their frustrations in that game as well. So I've got to say it was just hilarious watching the looks on their faces when they see the linesman with the flag down, and the linesman was laughing at them as well. Everybody was laughing at them. Their own fans laughing at them. The Polish taking them out were laughing at them. The linesman was laughing at them. So I think that one for me, just the comedy factor only. Second, for me is the sunshine on Leith after we won the first derby when we came back up. I think there's not many sunshine on Leith that can top the cup final one, but the sunshine on Leith after that derby, you really need to go and watch the Sky Sports footage of that. I think it's outstanding.
Was that the same Levein game?
Could have been.
I think it was.
The sunshine on Leith that was absolutely outstanding, because I think, and it's how much that game meant as well. Our first derby back up, and we win it, and what a team we had back then as well. And I think, the sunshine on Leith was just so powerful. And like I said, it's very hard to top the one at the cup final, but that one is the only one that comes near to it for me. One of the best renditions I've ever heard, and that game just meant so much. And then my top Edinburgh derby moment actually came, I think it's out of a moment of tragedy, but my top Edinburgh derby moment was how the fans came together after Zaliukas died of MND. I thought it was tragic because he was a great player. Great player, one of several Hearts players that I think I do have a lot of respect for, irrespective of what team they played for. And he was he was a nice guy as well. Every person you'd ask in Scottish football would say the same. Such a nice guy. I think it was tragic, absolutely tragic, and that's why we're very lucky that we have MND research and that there is ways to make such a horrible disease a bit more tolerable, and hopefully they're working towards a cure. but the way both sides of the Edinburgh divide came together was absolutely outstanding. I think it shows you that even though we are bitter rivals, we can come together as a city. We can come together as two clubs.
I think
I've
on that,
got to say that's my top moment for that. Definitely, that's my top derby moment, because it's great to see when the fans come together for a good cause and really just appreciate a footballer that was taken far too soon.
On that, I think it'll be nice to see both sets of fans clapping for the young lad Devon, who unfortunately committed suicide. I think that'll be a moving experience to see both. I hope that the referee stops the game.
I would like to see
really
that.
hope that, but I agree that was a good moment as well.
I think one other one I'd like to say, I've sort of like chucking a bonus sort of one for on that is, and I think that will be excellent. But I've got to say, fair play to Block 7 for organising that. Well done, lads, because I think mental health is so important. I think me and Charlie can attest to that. So I think well done to everybody, and I hope the referee does stop the game so that both sets of players can join in as well, because I know how much that will mean. And again, we're coming together as a city at that point. It's not just two football clubs coming together as a city. Like, adding a bonus one is the charity derby between Big Hearts and the Community Foundation. I think that was excellent as well. Again, raising money for mental health mental health awareness day. I think that was fantastic. It was great to see some lads for the changing room, which obviously I went to and have benefited from, involved in that, and obviously from Hearts changing room as well. And it was great to see legends and Hearts fans and Hibs fans all come together and raise money for a good cause. So I think unfortunately the Edinburgh Derby gets a lot of negative press sometimes, and a bit, very quick to say when the Edinburgh Derby something bad happens. But I think Edinburgh Derby on the whole is a rivalry where there is a lot of respect between the two sets of fans, and that we can come together and appreciate things in a way I don't think the old firm could ever do for me. So I've got to say that. So you take the fact that we're rivals. I think at the same time we're two sets of clubs that can respect each other and put our differences aside and come together as a city when we need to. And I think that's what I love about Edinburgh, and that's what I love about the rivalry. So we'll move on. We'll move on now. It got a bit powerful there. I get a wee bit emotional there, but we'll move on now. And I said I put on the special background, so we're going to do it because she was back. Captain America was back. My editing skills are getting better these days. That was me. Captain America was back. We're going to talk about Hibs women. So I think it was the exact opposite from the men's team. Hibs women, obviously, they were up at Riverside Stadium in Perth to take on St Johnstone in the Scottish Cup, in our delayed Scottish Cup tie against St Johnstone. So, Charlie, were you confident heading into the game? Obviously, St Johnstone mid-table in the SWPL2, which for those of you that maybe not as well versed in the women's football pyramid, that is equivalent to the Championship.
Absolutely, I was confident. It's always good to play a team in the division below you in the cup. Obviously, looking at Hibs against Cove, not the case, but I was confident for the girls that they would get the job done, mate. I don't know why any Hibs fan that has a vested interest in the women's team wouldn't have been confident going into that, because we've got a good history with that cup. And, I think we'd have every right to be confident going into it.
Yeah, 100%. I think I was really confident, especially after showing against Motherwell, where we were really hard to break down and were quite mean. I think that's something that Dean's been saying he wants us to be. I was really confident. I knew you look at it, we've had good history against second division sides in the cup as well. You look at what we did to Stirling Uni and Dundee United and Kilmarnock in the League Cup group stage. So look at it, I was extremely confident heading in, and I knew, and also we've got an excellent history in the Scottish Cup. So looking at it, it was an excellent goal scoring performance. So I'll talk about the first half. First half, obviously, we go 1-0 up quite fairly quickly. Michaela McAloney, who's continuing her excellent form and coming back from the injury, we'll actually come to the lineup in a minute. I actually just wanted to talk about McAloney first. It's great to see her on such good goal scoring form. That's the player we signed for Spartans. For me, I was worried she'd maybe be a bit of a McGuinness, because she's come in a lot of promise and got injured. I thought, oh no, please don't tell me she's going to be like McGuinness, where this is going to be a persistent problem. But she's come back with a vengeance. So just before we talk about the lineup, how good is it to see Mickey in such good form after coming back from that serious injury?
Very good, mate. Nice to see her back. I wasn't really sure how long she'd be out for, but good to see her back, and good to see her back amongst the goals as well. It couldn't be, you've probably seen it time and time again when players come back from an injury that they struggle sometimes to get back among the goals or back up to speed. But it's been good to see her getting back up to goal scoring speed straight away.
Definitely. So just before we break down the rest of the game, we'll talk about the lineup. And I was very, very, I'll get your thoughts on it. I was very, very surprised that Dean did not rotate the team at all. He named the same team that he did against Motherwell, which I was very surprised. But good, I think that shows a lot of respect to the opponent, and it shows that we've got intentions in the cup, that we've made a statement of intent there. I think definitely showing that we're going to be putting out a strong team. I was surprised a bit about the bench actually. Ria McCafferty missing from the bench. I thought new signing Jenna Penman would be on the bench as well. Obviously, we signed Jenna Penman from Aberdeen, full back, which we need. I think she's an excellent player. I'm looking forward to see what she can provide. I think when Amy Muir is fit, she will be more of a squad player, but it's great that we've got cover in that position now. But yeah, I just want to welcome Jenna to Hibs as well. So yeah, I was a bit surprised that Ria McCafferty was left out of the team completely. And I was surprised that Jenna wasn't included in the squad. So, Charlie, what were your thoughts on the starting 11?
I thought very similar, mate. I thought he would have at least made a one or two changes. I don't think he would have went because obviously it's important to remember he's not got a big squad with a few injuries just now and what have you. But no, I thought it was a shock that he never rotated it. But fair play to him that he's actually respecting the opposition and respecting the competition as well. I think is an important one to note. I think you're never going to get a full 11 rotated squad in a cup game. So I think it was good. Was surprised that Ria didn't make the team. I know we bang on about it a lot, but Tony Malone surely due a start soon. That was the perfect game to give her that exposure to a start. It's been months since she started. I know we'll get to it later on, but good to see her come off the bench. But no, I think it's probably the strongest team Dean's got just now. So with potentially Tony thrown in there for someone as a replacement. But no, I think that's probably his favoured team just now with, Amy Muir being out, Rachel Boyle being out, Ailey Adams being out, and I think that's all. Leah Eddy's out as well, is she not?
Yeah, Leah Eddy's out. I think that's more of a temporary thing though, which is
so with those players out, it's hard to.
It's hard to rotate the team, but that's it. But I think it was great actually to see us get, like you're saying, give the cup respect it deserves, and St John's the respect they deserve as well. Because obviously, ex-Hibs manager Grant Scott is in the dugout at St Johnstone now. But we'll go on to the rest of the game. Obviously, St Johnstone equalise, which I think Dean talked about his post-match interview. Frustrating, but when I saw the equaliser, I thought I know what's going to come next. It was a bit like the Dundee United game almost immediately later after we just bit back. And obviously Alexa got herself back on the score sheet, which I think was absolutely great to see. Hence the Captain America. I've been waiting for this for quite a wee while because I've been calling her Captain America ever since she first came. Alexa's obviously been on a bit of a goal scoring drought, so how important do you think that is for her confidence that she's back on the score sheet and she managed to, we'll talk about it later, managed to get herself another one. How important is it for her to be back amongst the goals? And also, I've seen the highlights on our partner Recast as well. You can check that out over on there if you want to see the highlights of the game. Fantastic strike from Alexa, really well taken goal, and quite a distance as well. She just sort of sees the opportunity. If she wants to have a word with JDH actually, because she sees the opportunity and just puts the laces through it.
Nah, it's good to see her back amongst the goals, mate. Only a slight concern though. It seems like she finds it easier to score against lower division teams. And I know she scored against Hearts, but they obviously
and Spartans.
But I think it's good to see her. I think that's a confidence booster for her though, mate. I don't mean that in a negative sense by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's nice to see her get 2 as well. I think that's a big thing. I think good to see her back amongst the goals, mate. I was really happy to see her score because I do like Alexa. I think she's a good player. I think she definitely can get herself about the pitch, and I think that's what especially in the women's game where it's a faster moving game. I think you need dynamic strikers, and I think she is that. for sure.
Absolutely. And obviously, Shannon McGregor gets in on the action as well. Great to see, obviously, that's Shannon's first goal since coming back from her 2-year spell out. So fantastic to see Shannon amongst the goals. So half time, 3-1, you look at that and you go, yeah, good first half, what we expected. Dominant from us, just unfortunate that we lost the goal, and unfortunate for Gabby that she didn't keep the clean sheet. But all the same, a great first half performance. So go into the second half and we grab ourselves 3 more. And I think what I want to talk about before we talk about the subs and Alexa's getting another one, and it's great to see her and maybe how she's going to go on a run now. Maybe Rosie Livingston comes on and she grabs herself a goal, absolutely fantastic. And we spoke to Ailey about this when we had Ailey on about, do you feel that Rosie's on a similar path to Ailey? And she said yes. She's on a similar path to me. And I think it's great to see Rosie coming on at 15 and get her an opportunity and scoring a goal. So Charlie, how do you think that'll do for Rosie's confidence? She's been promoted. She's no longer an academy player. She won't get put back in under 19s. She's no longer on a trial run. She's actually part of the first team now. How good is that for her to be officially a first team player now? Get on and score a goal in the cup.
It'll do her the confidence, mate. It'll do her the world of good getting a goal this early into being a full squad player. No, she's good. She's always a good player to be in the first team at 15. Like,
yeah,
that doesn't happen that often, mate. Women's, men's, what have you.
It is difficult, I think you look at Ailey got fast tracked into the first team when she was about 16. So Rosie, to my knowledge, is the youngest player that's done it at Hibs, and I think that's men's and women's as well. So you can tell that she's got a massive career ahead of her. If at 15 she's on the bench playing first team football. And coming off the bench and scoring as well against what is a very, we remember as these St Johnstone players, a lot of them are older.
Double our age, some of them.
Exactly. Rosie's coming up against some of those St Johnstone players old enough to be your mum. So you're coming up and going against players like that, and they're physical. SWPL teams are always very physical. So fair play to Rosie there. I've got to say it. And then obviously Ellis Notley as well, who is in spectacular goal scoring form for a centre half right now. She got in on the action as well, which is great to see. And obviously Alexa got herself her brace, and I think this will start Alexa on a run. She's a bit like Deutsch for me, where she needs to get a going before she really goes on a proper goal scoring run. And I think that'll really help her. I think, like we're talking about when we talk about the first goal, it'll do her the world of good. It'll do her confidence world of good. And I think we're going to see Alexa go on a goal scoring run now. So I think overall a fantastic goal scoring performance in the cup. Brushed aside a St Johnstone side that we were expected to beat. And it was great. And I think when we play these teams, it really shows what we're capable of as a team. And I was but I've got to say, I was just so pleased with Alexa because she works her socks off every single game. Her work rate is outstanding. Puts in 100% every game, like you said, very dynamic, all over the pitch, working for every ball. So she deserved that. Alexa really, really deserved that. And I think we're going to talk about the subs. Tony, it was great to see Tony come on. Absolutely. I think, Tony's a player that she's had a great career. She played in Austria. She's done well out there. She's come here, and I think she deserves her opportunities. And she came on and she got minutes, and that's important. Get minutes in the legs and just prove to the coach that you are a good enough player. We've got a very difficult midfield to break into. I'm not going to beat about the bush there and say that. I've got some especially with Shannon McGregor and Mickey back as well. But I think Tony's just got to go out there, keep proving herself and keep smashing it, Tony, because I thought she was brilliant when she came on. For what I've seen in the highlights, she put in a few key tackles and she was moving the ball about well, and she was actually involved in the build-up to Rosie's goal. So I think fair play to Tony there. She's just got to keep proving herself. Very dynamic midfielder, can sort of play over the midfield. And so very, very happy with that. So Charlie, your closing thoughts on the win against St Johnstone?
It's important that we're in the next round of the hat, mate. That's all that matters. Obviously, we're playing a team in the 3rd division next. So, I'd love to see us go and do the same with them. I think we will. But I think in these cup games, mate, like the one against Cove, for the men, it's important that you get the job done. Doesn't matter if you win 1-0 or 6-1. And that's really all that matters. And we've done it. So, fair play.
Absolutely. I think the performance was outstanding. We could have easily have been like the guys against Cove, but we weren't. We went there, and like I said, it's a big statement of intent for me, especially with Celtic. Celtic pumping City out 12-0. Unfortunately, Rangers beating Steny 12-1. So obviously we're playing an SWF Championship South team like Rangers and Celtic have. I think for me, Cairn are a really good team. And I think it will be difficult. They've actually got a few SWPL players in the team. Obviously, Cairn are a good team, and I think it will be difficult as they've got SWPL experienced players, like I was saying. They came with for family. So, yeah, I think they will provide a tough test, but I would like to see us do what Rangers and Celtic did to Steny and City, which is put double figures past them. I think we're capable of that. So, yeah, I think a third division side in the next round. So obviously we're starting the cup, we're getting eased into it gently, and I think we've got a real chance of winning the cup. If Rangers and City can get put out before we need to play them, I think Celtic, we look like we can beat Celtic. So I think if we can beat Celtic and Rangers and Glasgow City are already out, I think we've got a real chance of winning the cup. This is obviously it's very early doors to be talking about that. I think we'll go on a good run, at least the semi-finals. I think.
I'd like us to get a good run again. I'd like another wee semi-final at Stirling, mate.
Yeah, well, that would mean another home tie for you, Charlie Boy. So
ideal, but no, I think in all seriousness, mate, I think we can go and win the cup.
We're capable.
I think if Dean can get us playing the same way that we have been playing, especially against Celtic the other week, I thought we were really, really good. I think if we can carry that on into the next couple of weeks, and especially in the cup games, like Cairn, we'll turn them over. I think
100%.
Very confidently, and I think just use that as momentum, like I've been saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it for me. Absolutely. Hopefully we'll get on a good cup run. Hopefully Dean can get us playing like this all the time, because like I said, we against these sort of low league teams, we really show our full ability as a team. So hopefully we see that in the league against the likes of maybe Spartans, Partick. We've got a not too bad run in the league coming up, so hopefully we can really just start making a push towards Champions League. Remember, the cup could get us Champions League football as well, so it's very, very important, because I'd love to see us in the Champions League. A wee away day in Wolfsburg to see Siobhan, big Siobhan, half Alexandra Pop would be outstanding. So yeah, that would be good. So on that bombshell, as they'd say on Top Gear, that concludes this week's episode of the podcast. As always, I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and thank you all for your support. Until next time, we will see you later. Glory to the Hibs.